Well, they did tell us. They did say Chelsea want a striker. They're prioritising a striker. They're still looking at a striker.
I love me, baby, bust it open, bring it back. I'm the realest killer in it, I don't even need to act. Throwing up the racks, I'm just throwing up the racks.
Yo, friends, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy. With me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. Genuinely, really do wholeheartedly hope that. And welcome back to Chelsea News this Wednesday morning. We've got today, we've got Thursday, we've got Friday down to the deadline of this transfer window. There's players to leave still, of course. When it comes to this club, there's always players to leave. And there could be blockbuster signings. In fact, at the moment, listening to what the reputable journalists are saying, you'd put the farm on a blockbuster, top-tier, centre-forward striker to join Chelsea. And there's apparently a four-man shortlist. Maybe two of those four-man are blockbuster. And, of course, they'd probably be represented by Osimhen and Toney. There's still two other strikers. I do wonder if one of them remains John Duran. And it would be very interesting to see this four-man shortlist from Chelsea. But we're going to talk Toney, Osimhen, maybe a bit of Nico Jackson today, and Jadon Sancho as well. This story will not go away. Chelsea are very, very keen on Jadon Sancho still, should the opportunity arise. Strange, eh? So yeah, lots to get into. I do also want to show you as well the X value page for Ivan Toney. Of course, we've already done this for Osimhen. We might bring it up again should we sign him. But I'll show you a little bit of Toney's stats as well. So thanks for joining me. Thank you for supporting the content. It is road to 2,100. 2,100? Can't speak English today. 200,000 subscribers this season. So please do consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell if you subscribe. And in the meantime, I'll try and learn to speak English. All right then, friends. Should we talk about Nico Jackson first? I'm just going to sip my drink right there. One moment. Yes, I do want to speak about Nico Jackson because he had a good season last campaign. He divided opinion, Nicholas Jackson, but ultimately he's a young player. His first season in Chelsea, in a very chaotic Chelsea, in a position that he'd only played for like 4 months or something, centre forward. So there's already 4 caveats, excuses, disclaimers, and he still got, what, 15 non-Premier League goals or something? It was still very good, excuse me, all things considered. He started the season well, he's got a goal and an assist. Now, I really like Jackson. I'm so happy we've got him in the squad, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if he was our starting striker. Though, if there's one thing, or there's been many things, but one of the biggest things that this new ownership structure at Chelsea's been criticised for is not going for that same Galactico quality that we used to have. I mean, they've kind of flipped the script on that a little bit, you'd have to say, especially with getting like gems and good value gems in, I'd add Nico Jackson to that, but of course the blockbuster one is Cole Palmer. You could even add Noni Madueke now, Malo Gusto, etc, etc. Maybe even like Renato Vega for 8 million. But they are buying the big shirt sellers as well. Pedro Neto is a very exciting signing. Like I said, it's the kind of player that, Man City fans would have been excited had they signed. Joao Felix, he's a high-profile player as well. The Chelsea fans singing his name already at Stamford Bridge. And, megastar, huge marketability and stuff like that. And, of course, either Toney or certainly more so Osimhen would do that. So they're doing their sort of scouting, developing a portfolio of assets and players for a multi-club model. But they're doing essentially a bit of the Roman Abramovich here still in big players. So with Nico Jackson, I do think he's done well, but he's not a superstar, and I like a lot about Nico. I'm pretty high on him, but I do wonder. He's quite a confident young lad. He is confident, which is great, by the way. That's a huge positive. But I wonder if there's a touch of I've made it. I'm Chelsea's number 9, and which you can, if you're Didier Drogba and you've won some Premier Leagues, yeah, you can start sticking at yourself like that. But, I wonder if bringing in, say, a Victor Osimhen, another African star striker, that is going to start ahead of you, will actually be good for Nicholas Jackson's development. You know, maybe starting Conference League games, cup games, maybe coming on as a closer for Osimhen, maybe sharing the pitch for Osimhen, playing on the left-hand side of him at times. I wonder if that will actually be good for Nico Jackson as well. So I do want to speak about Osimhen in terms of Chelsea news now. But quickly, of course, we know we have seriously been linked to Ivan Toney. It wasn't just Sky Sports yesterday that I reacted to that spoke about the story. Other publications, other newspapers picked it up and said, yeah, Chelsea are looking at him. Romano said, yeah, Chelsea are looking at 4 strikers, and you know, Toney is one of those 4. So I want to quickly look at his X-Value page here for reference. Okay, it's not there. That's very, very, very helpful. Here it is. Ivan Toney. Okay, so I'm using his last full season. So not the last 6 months, of course. He was banned for gambling. This is the campaign where he got 20 Premier League goals. And as you can see here, he's being referenced as a mobile finisher almost entirely. A little bit of a target man, but he moves around a lot. His key metrics per cluster are dribbles, so he can dribble. Now, it's interesting, he makes key passes. He can create for his fellow forwards, whether it's a strike partner, which of course was most likely the case at Brentford. He will, if the pass is to be made, he will make it. And he takes a good volume of open play shots inside the box. As you can see, he's got a very impressive performance spider chart. Really, actually well balanced. Everything but recoveries, which is fine because he's a centre forward. He's really, really good in the air. He can dribble. He can pass really well. Like I said, he's not just... You get some strikers that have this part of the chart down here because they're just finished, but he's still assists. And, of course, very strong in shooting as well. That's a very, very healthy shaped performance chart. Hey, look at his heat map, man. That you can see slightly and mainly on the left here. That's because he played with a strike partner. That would have been a 4-4-2 or whatever, 5-3-2. So it would have been him in like Burmo there or something. But he can play all over the gaff. And he can play, to his credit, by himself. Now, his stats, you need to remember, he's playing for Brentford here, okay? He's got direct goal involvement every 0.37. In the Premier League, playing for Brentford, that's good. That's pretty darn impressive. It's not insane, but it's good. And this is, of course, when he scored 20 Premier League goals. He was notably on penalties as well. But if you look at his XG here, his non-penalty XG, it's actually very high. It's in the top 8%, of course, the 92nd percentile. And again, that's in the top 8% of strikers in Europe for a striker that is playing for, again, no disrespect, but the reality is Brentford. Very, very strong. Now, if you look at his polar chart here, mobile finisher, very, very strong from expected threat from passes. So he does make very dangerous passes. This would work in the Chelsea team when you've got players like, you know, inside attackers like Neto, Joao Felix and Kunku that are going to pick up on striker passes and stuff. That is very, very strong. Cutbacks as well. Again, I mean, great for a striker that he can not just stand in the middle and finish chances. When you are a team like Chelsea, players will sit in, they'll like hunker down, and you need to be able to do all this kind of stuff. So very, very strong. He will be a massive asset for Chelsea. He will be Chelsea's starting striker, of course. Pretty strong chance creation. I mean, kind of okay expected assists, but expected offensive value added is very, very high. His progression is good as well, getting up the pitch, as of course you'd need to be for Brentford. Quick transitions, of course. All right, mate. So we might sign Ivan Toney. Now, of course, this might... I wanted to show you that just to show you that if it does happen, he is good. You know, if it's £40 million or whatever, and you can double, triple his wages and it'll still be affordable, fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would be very happy if we signed Toney. I like the cut of his jib. I like his attitude. It makes sense. But there is speculation that this could be a bit of a smoke screen to like make Napoli a little bit more twitchy about Osimhen. I'm going to read you some stuff here from social media aggregators on X. DiMarzio is saying Chelsea are about to put in their first official offer for Osimhen in the next hours. Of course, Napoli have lowered their asking price. They want, you know, just a reminder, Lukaku, who's completing his move to Napoli on a 3-year deal to play with former coach Antonio Conte. Of course, they had an amazing time at Inter together. They've been speaking on the phone every day, and they are Conte is planning on working with Lukaku. That's his striker. Osimhen isn't training with Napoli. Osimhen has to leave. He has to leave. Now, Al-Ali, I can't pronounce, the pronunciation of the Saudi team, excuse me. I'll just call them Al-Ali. They are very interested in getting him. His agent, Osimhen's agents, come out essentially sort of rubbish the moves to Saudi. Although, if the deal doesn't go over the line, I think he'll probably end up going there. The recurring theme from all journalists here is that PSG are not working on a deal to sign Victor Osimhen. I do wonder, and this is just speculation here, I'm not actually getting this from anywhere. Mbappe's suing them for not paying him tens of millions, I think. I do wonder if they don't want to commit lots of money at the moment. They do have strikers. They've got Kolo Muani and Gonzalo Ramos. I think, they'll still win Liga. I wonder if they feel like they need Osimhen that much right now. Or if it's just a reflex to try and replace Mbappe. We'll speak about Sancho in just a moment. Napoli believe that Chelsea are about to put in a proper bid for Osimhen now on a permanent transfer, not this loan that we kept offering them. Of course, that was the narrative for the last few weeks, that Chelsea were prepared to offer a loan option for Osimhen, knowing that he's not in the plans of Antonio Conte and that he doesn't want to play for Napoli anymore. And also a loan would have been dreamland because you could have tested him out and seen how everything fit in. But they didn't want to loan him. The player himself didn't want to be loaned. He wanted his next destination to be a permanent one, which is kind of fair. I get that. And now Napoli believe because they've lowered the price tag, Chelsea are going to come in and make a serious offer. Chelsea won Osimhen on incentive-based driven contracts. Otherwise, they're going to move on to other targets, writes Ben Jacobs. Now, yes, one of those other targets is Ivan Toney, the aforementioned, and apparently there's a couple more. There's 4 in total. Now, the recurring theme here is that Osimhen doesn't want to lower his wages. Whether that means he will get the same wage, but they need to be incentive-based. Like, you can make that money, but you need to score goals and get top 4. I mean, in a way, that's lowering your wages. It'll be very interesting to see that. Romano is saying this. Chelsea are in talks with Victor Osimhen's camp. He's the main option in a 4-player list, so that's where that's coming from. Al-Ali are ready if Osimhen doesn't move to Chelsea. So, at the moment, Victor Osimhen, all roads lead to Chelsea. He is the priority target out of the 4. I wonder if Toney's second, if Toney was a smokescreen. Toney is a real option though for Chelsea, and long has been. Of course, Cy Phillips, who's got good Chelsea information, long has said Chelsea are looking at Toney. They've been, they've never dropped that option. They're sort of, I guess, just doing this game of chicken towards the end of the transfer deadline. Of course, Chelsea remain in a strong position. The Lukaku deal seems done, and that's a problem solved. Kepa to Bournemouth, problem solved. Lots of problems getting solved, and they can survive without another striker. So Chelsea are in a strong position. Now, Gianluca Di Marzio, who's said all kinds of stuff. He's been talking about PSG still, which of course has been disputed. He's saying that Chelsea have delivered an offer to Osimhen's agent Calenda. So his agent's the one that recently came out and said, look, we're not going to Saudi, in so many words, like far afield. He said he's got stuff to do in Europe, and Chelsea are in Europe, of course. Recent Champions League winners, Chelsea, lest we forget. I think we could still be... Yeah, I think we could be called recent Champions League winners on the premise of we're in the Club World Cup next summer, which means you have to have recent European prestige. So yeah, I'd say so. So an offer has been delivered to the agent, and we will continue talks with his camp today. PSG not being in the race for Osimhen is massive. I'm reading here on at CFCPOS. He's been aggregating this stuff from Di Marzio, Fabrizio Romano, Ben Jacobs. This is an opinion piece from him. This is a unique chance to get a top striker on a much reduced fee. Pay what it takes to land him. Could be the difference of finishing top 4. big words there. I've been, my personal opinion is firm on I don't want to break the wage structure for a single player, because Lukaku was amazing when we signed him. Lukaku, everyone was excited about Romelu Lukaku when he signed for Chelsea. We spent way too much money on him and we gave him way too much wages. I'm not saying I understood it at the time, but in hindsight, that's the case. Now, clearly here with Osimhen, this would represent not spending way too much money on him, because it's actually a unique situation where we can acquire a top-tier striker for probably not silly money, which is great. But the wages thing for me, I feel like it's important. I do feel like there's such a psychological importance to getting the most out of players' development. And you could argue Osimhen doesn't need to develop. You know, he's 25. I reckon he could probably get better if he wants to. I just don't think it's worth doing that, essentially. Look, I feel like the Chelsea squad will understand if Osimhen gets paid more money than them. He's won African Player of the Year. He's won a league title for Napoli, the first one in God knows how many years. I can't remember it was. So he's got a bit of the iconic vibes, which many of the Chelsea players simply do not have, you know. So maybe they're like, all right, he gets paid a bit more of a bigger basic than us, but he can't blow them out of the water. You know, Cole Palmer has just got the most goal involvements in the Premier League last season, more than Haaland, more than Watkins, more than whoever you want to pick out the bag. He got the most, right? He's won PFA Player of the Year, Young, and Premier League Young Player of the Year. And he's just had a pay rise to 120k a week. Now, if you come in and just give Osimhen 300k a week and you don't even know how he's going to play in the Chelsea team, that sets such a bad precedent. I'm okay, probably, with giving him a basic of, say, like what we gave Nkunku. And Nkunku's on a flat rate. He's not on incentive-based. He did quite well out of us. And I think he's on like 190k a week. I'd be happy to give that to Osimhen and say you could bring that to, well, the sky's the limit if you were amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe 300k a week if you're like a Premier League top goal scorer and Premier League winner. It's there for you if you do the business and you show what you can do. But I don't want the basic to be super high to just screw up, you know, the equilibrium in the Chelsea dressing room. I think that's so important personally. Of course, I'll be following that story very, very closely. That will develop every day, I think, so keep it locked to Football Therapy. If you do subscribe, turn the bell on, and I will keep you posted on that, and you'll get notified when I upload. Another huge thing, of course, is Jadon Sancho. It won't seem to go away. In my head, Jadon Sancho is just a right winger, because, of course, Man United bought him to play on the right, but his predominant position, apparently, is the left wing. And it made me think a little bit, all right, well, okay, so if Noni Madueke is a conventional right winger, Enzo Maresca's already said he's the kind of winger he likes. Cole Palmer is an inside player, you know, got 4 goal involvements in the last game, playing on the inside and not on the wing. He played on the wing against Man City and was ineffective. He can be effective there, but maybe not in this system. So yeah, so in terms of inside players, I look at as in playing more narrow, whether that's near the striker or just behind. I'd say Palmer, Nkunku, I'd say Joao, Felix. Do you know what I mean? 3 of these guys already. Sterling, we can maybe think is just gone. And suddenly you got Neto, who can like deputise on either side for Noni Madueke on the right. Probably prefers to play on the right a little bit more. And then you've got the left-hand side. You've got Neto can deputise for maybe, I guess, Jadon Sancho suddenly. And suddenly you're thinking, obviously, how are we going to fit all these players in? You know, Enzo Fernandez and Dewsbury Hall were playing as these attacking 8s. But now are they going to be just occupied by Nkunku, Palmer, and, you know, Felix off the bench, or Felix starting and Nkunku off the bench? There's so many attacking players there. And maybe they look at Sancho as a real wide player that can do what Noni is doing on the right. He can do it on the left. I'm not thinking it's like, you know, in the same way I didn't look at Joao Felix thinking he's the solution to our problems right now. I'm pleased in hindsight we signed him, and I've said all along I was very excited about it. But again, Jadon Sancho, it seems mental, doesn't it? And he's on super high wages. If he's part of the Raheem Sterling solution and Chelsea think, right, we can just sort of do a swap deal and we'd rather have Sancho than Sterling at the moment, fine. I get it. Fine. But I struggle to sort of see it at the moment. Alright guys, keep it locked to Football Therapy. I'm going to be updating you on all the stories as they pop off, excuse me. So please do keep it locked, and I look forward to seeing you back here on the channel. Alright, peace.